Ryan Poles wrapped up his press conference a little bit ago, and I got some takeaways I'm going to get into. And I just want to ask you guys, do you believe in the Bears GM? Simple Y for yes, simple N for no. Let's get into it. I'm Harrison Graham. This is Chicago Bears Now. Ryan Poles wrapped up his press conference earlier today. Also, Kevin Warren and George McCaskey talked briefly afterwards. I will say up front, I'm glad that this was the Poles solo show for a while. We didn't have a Kevin Warren 10-minute introductory bullshit. He talked later, but that's fine. They separated those at least on that front. But let's get to my top takeaways from what Poles had to say today. Number one, and I think we kind of knew this based on the amount of interview requests they put out yesterday, but also with his words today, that they're doing a wide search for their next head coach. And I got to be honest, this quote I hear here worries me a little bit. There's going to be some names that you don't expect that will surprise you. Like David Shaw, like Mike Kafka, like Drew Petzing. I don't know, man. That feels smartest guy in the room vibes. And when you've had a good amount of misses like Ryan Poles has, that is concerning to be. I don't mind interviewing a bunch of candidates, but I don't love the vocalization of to me, like that specific quote is like, we're proud that we've done extensive research and we're going to dive into some names that people on the outside haven't even considered. You know who end up usually being the good head coaches? The more obvious guys, like last year, Jim Harbaugh. Yeah, he's working out pretty well. It's no guarantee, obviously. Finding the right head coach is difficult. That's why guys get fired all the time. But like, don't overthink yourself. I'm not saying you can't interview different people, but like, you should have a firm list going into these interviews of who your top guys are. Doesn't mean things can't change after interviews, but that got me pretty nervous when I saw him say that. All right, number two, he seemed pretty open to the idea of trading for a coach. Now, I do think we need to pump the brakes a little bit on this idea that this is just some easy thing to do and some avenue that happens frequently. It's happened a handful of times. Sean Payton most recently. I will say this. This was the quote. We'll explore all avenues to get the best coach when he asked about the idea of trading for a coach. Obviously, we dove into Shanahan McVay a few months ago. I don't think that's realistic. I didn't at the time, but we entertained the rumors. I think there is one name in this department that I think is at least worth keeping an eye on. That would be Mike Tomlin. If the Pittsburgh Steelers flame out, losing the first round to Baltimore, they will have lost 5 games in a row to end their season. Is it just time between Pittsburgh and Tomlin? I don't think they would fire him because I do think they would probably look at this and be like, yeah, we may not get like multiple firsts or something like that, but we could work with him and trade him to a new team. Remember, there was a lot of chatter last year that maybe they would split up, and they didn't go with that. He ended up coming back there. But I could see a scenario where the Steelers and Tomlin kind of mutually are just like, all right, this has been a great run. Obviously, we've been consistent, but we haven't won a playoff game since 2016. Maybe we just part the seas. And listen, I would like Mike Tomlin. I would love Mike Tomlin. He'd probably jump to the top of my list because it, like, you know how I've said Vrabel is like the safe hire? Tomlin's even safer. Like, your floor is 9 wins. He's never gone below 500. So, obviously, I want him to have higher highs than he's had in recent years, but that would be a pretty strong candidate if he became available. I'd have to think long and hard between him and Ben Johnson, but I would certainly be on board with Mike Tomlin, depending on the cost, which is why I throw in this hypothetical. Day 2 pick. Like, to me, if the Steelers and Mike come to a mutual agreement, I don't think a team's going to trade a first for him. But, like, trade, what was it, pick 71 or whatever, you get Mike Tomlin. Like, yeah, it would hurt to lose a draft pick. Ryan Poles 0 for 3 in third-round picks. So I would certainly be interested in that possibility. So if you want Mike Tomlin, you should be cheering hard for the Ravens this weekend to even have a chance of that door opening, which I still think is a very slim one, but just something to potentially consider here. All right, more takeaways and reaction coming up. But first, a shout out to our sponsor, Rocket Money. New year, got to stay on top of your finances because, like most people, I spend a lot of money in the month of December. Traveling, holidays, gifts, meals, all that stuff. And that's okay. Some months you're going to be over budget. But what Rocket Money is going to help you do is to stay under budget as often as possible. A few ways you could do that. They're going to help you cancel subscriptions that you no longer want. When you sync up your bank account with Rocket Money after you download the app, create an account, you're going to see on one screen just how many subscriptions you have and how much you are paying for those on a monthly basis. Most Americans believe they're spending about $62 per month on subscriptions. The reality, that number is closer to $300. So if there are a few streaming services or other subscriptions that you pay for that you no longer want, a few clicks later, they will help you cancel those for you. You can set budgets with Rocket Money, and they're going to send you weekly and monthly reminders to see if you're staying on top of those budgets. And just day-to-day things, too, like just staying on top of your daily spending with groceries, gas, other things that pop up in your life, categorized spending as well, credit score, whatever it is. I like it more than my actual banking app. To be honest, Rocket Money I think is a lot more user friendly and easier to kind of consume all the information. Couldn't recommend it enough. RocketMoney.com/Bears now is the place to go. If you use our link, it helps supports us, helps us grow our show, and in the end, you're supporting yourself because Rocket Money has saved their customers $500 million in canceled subscriptions alone. So stop wasting money on things you don't use. Go check out Rocket Money. Okay, number 3. I would say he took some ownership. I'm not going to act like this was, some over-the-top Tim Tebow speech from his days at the University of Florida. You will never see a player work harder than I will. But he definitely acknowledged some things here, and I want to give him credit. He said, I have to take responsibility as the leader of the football operation for the losses and make sure we don't make that mistake again. What mistake? I think it's plural mistakes. Not happy with the results. It's been a season where Mondays were really, really difficult because we kept coming up short. I have to look myself in the mirror. Then you get to the end here and I get weary again. I do take pride in the fact that we're learning from the misses. I think everyone in life should take pride on learning from a mistake, but what are you doing to correct that mistake? Like that's my question. What exactly have you learned if you're Ryan Poles? He says, I do take pride that we're learning from our mistakes. Well, what steps are being taken? What things are being fixed to learn from those mistakes? I don't really know the answer, and I don't think we can know the answer regardless of who they hire until we see results on the field. None of this other stuff matters if you don't win. That's why it was so annoying the last year and a half. Our culture is awesome. We have the right people in place. We're doing things the right way. Well, you're not winning games. So who cares how awesome your process is if you stink? And so I guess they're reviewing some of those and they're going to do things differently. I don't really know what those are. Doesn't feel that different to me. So it makes me nervous as we go through this process once again after just doing it 3 years ago. Okay, traits he wants in a coach. There was a little quote on that, and I feel like I have an answer on who that should be. Clear vision, developmental mindset, really good game management, plan to develop the quarterback. Sounds like Ben Johnson to me. Obviously, Ben Johnson hasn't been a head coach, so he hasn't been in full control of timeouts and challenges and stuff like that, but he's taken Jared Goff to a place he's never been to before. He's been around an organization that is very aggressive, but Dan Campbell, even though I don't always agree with some of his fourth down decisions, does seem to have a good grasp of when to go for it for the most part and time management and things like that. I've never noticed anything just too far there. Now, again, some of the fourth down decisions, a little reckless, but listen, it does inspire confidence in his team. I guess you could point to a guy like Vrabel for some of the game management stuff because he was an excellent challenger during his time in Tennessee. But I think Ben Johnson, when you add up all the things they're looking for, is the most qualified. And then lastly, and again, I'm not trying to be negative, but he just seems unsure of himself. And I noticed that in the joint presser with Warren a couple months ago, like this was a new side of him. Like he just, even through the ups and downs the first year and a half or whatever, 2 years, like he seemed very confident. He seemed like, okay, even though Flus is a joke, this guy knows what he's doing. And then you see stuff like this. Mark Carman, CHGO, kind of just paraphrases it here, saying Ryan Poles says that he wondered at times, quote, if he should say something, close quote, when it came to the locker room and stuff he was seeing. Poles said he was encouraged guys in exit videos to encourage them to be more vocal going forward, yada, yada, yada. I mean, they were pretty vocal all year. The I don't know if I should say something or not. That's I don't know, man. I get you're the GM, and that's really a coach's job to like have the pulse of the locker room and knowing when to step in. And clearly, Eberflus was unequipped. Well, you fired Eberflus. You're the GM. No one is stopping you from going downstairs where your office is upstairs and addressing these issues head on. You don't have to wait until the offseason. Hey guys, moving forward, continue to be vocal. Like you couldn't do that in October. You couldn't do that when you lost 3 in a row instead of 10 in a row. I just again, it speaks a lack of confidence to me, and that's very very concerning. And this is a side of polls as my phone alarm goes off here that I hadn't really seen before, that presser with Warren, but I can't shake that presser with Kevin Warren a couple months ago. I will say I thought he was better today, but overall, I don't know. If I'm grading this press conference, is it a D plus? I mean, it's not an F. That's what it was a couple months ago, but not. I can't say my confidence meter is high with. Oh, we're gonna look at some names no one would have even thought of. Like you haven't earned the right to be the smartest guy in the room. If the Steelers move on from Mike Tomlin and they go outside the box, well, you know what? They've had 3 coaches in 55 years. Like their fans have earned the trust of the franchise to likely get that thing right. The Bears, Mark Trestman, anyone? Matt Eberflus? No, thank you. Like, why not just hire the obvious guy, assuming he'll come here, which who knows, with Ben Johnson? And if it doesn't work, well, at least you hired the guy that everyone was like, go get him. that's my advice to the Bears. You have not earned the right to be the smartest guy in the room because you're not the smartest guy in the room. Okay, a couple other nuggets, then we'll get out of here. Poles did make it clear that he will select the coach, and I do think putting him out there solo to address all the coaching stuff does confirm that. There's about 5 or 6 people that'll assist him, including George McCaskey. Oh, God. Hopefully he's just a kind of a sounding board. Kevin Warren did say that downtown is still the stadium site focus, and he is adamant that there will be a shovel in the ground before the end of 2025. We'll see. We're in 2025. And then I actually appreciated this from George McCaskey, who I get we all question ownership, and I would agree it hasn't been good. But he could have kind of dodged this question, but he basically said, yeah, I understand the sell the team chance. We have to do better. Like I appreciate that. Now, that doesn't like hide him from any misses that we've seen year over year over year over year over coaching search over coaching search. Like it doesn't erase that, but at least he's like, yeah, we stink. I understand why fans are upset. He said, I understand why fans didn't travel to Green Bay and we had to sell some of our road ticket allotment. We're not good right now. So at least we heard that from him. But all in all, what was it better than 6 weeks ago from Poles and Warren? Yes. Was it a high-level confidence-building press conference? I would say no. Okay, subscribe to the channel. More to come. We'll have another video later. There's some new coaching nuggets. Joe Brady's been added to the interview list. Some news and updates on Ben Johnson and Mike Vrabel, so stay tuned for that. There's just so much today. We're going to split it into a couple of videos as new information comes in. Hit that sub button. Turn on notifications. Updates sometimes every hour here on Chicago Bears Now.